Hi, I'm Luke Margolis with Atlantic Health System. Thanks for listening to our latest podcast. On behalf of all the doctors, nurses, and other team members committed to building healthier communities, we're proud to share the latest news from across our system. For health tips and other life-saving information, visit atlantichealth.org.
Welcome to Mind Your Mental Health, a podcast series brought to you by Concern, a part of the Atlantic Behavioral Health Service line. I'm Nick Carter, and I'm here today with Sharon Kelly.
Hi, Nick, and
Hey,
we
Sharon.
are talking about love for February.
Yeah, we've done a nice job. We've talked a little bit about, in the first week, the stages of relationships, and then the second week we talked a little bit about the language of love and communication. What are we talking about today?
So today we want to talk about one of the facts of relationships is that if you're in a relationship long enough, you will eventually have disagreements.
Oh, come on now. Really?
I know.
It's not always perfect and ideal?
It's not always that first phase of love, unfortunately, but that can come back around. And with good skills in managing disagreements, we can stay really happy in a relationship. So for today, we want to talk about some of the key things that will help us learn how to disagree without being disagreeable.
Well, in our practices, both you and I see a lot of couples who come to us with having a lot of toxic behavior that does not seem to be healthy for a long-lasting relationship. Can we address that a little bit?
Yeah, it's really, really heartbreaking and sad. Because John Gottman, who we've mentioned a couple times over these podcasts, he identifies 4 ways of disagreement that he says are the most toxic for relationships and really do lead to, either a very unhappy, time together or an ending of a relationship. And he calls these the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. That's how serious they are. So I thought I'd go over those.
Excellent. So what's the first one?
The first one is criticism. And Gottman says that obviously in a healthy relationship, it's fine. We need a place to complain and kind of gripe and moan and that kind of thing. And there's a healthy way to do that. But criticism, when we are attacking our partner, is not healthy, and it is very, very toxic.
Yeah, character assassination is an example of that.
Yeah.
When we're really criticizing a person for who they are rather than what they have done.
Right. And then that can lead to a sense of contempt, which is another very toxic attitude that we can end up having, which really continues down that path of, seeing the person almost in a hateful kind of way. And one of the helpful antidotes to contempt is to really tap into deep, deep appreciation, because, somewhere there's something that we can appreciate about each other, and we need to work on cultivating lots of appreciation. I think there's a 5-to-1 ratio that they talk about, 5 positives for 1 negative.
You really do need to have that ratio. It's kind of like money in the bank. So if you haven't deposited, you haven't put in the good stuff into your account, you can't take a withdrawal when you need to.
When you have a disagreement, that's a withdrawal. So at 5-to-1. Then he talks about defensiveness. And of course, when we are being attacked, criticized, seen in a contemptful way, our natural human response is to go into our corners and put up, our defenses. And
well, you think about that just from a body language point of view. What do we do when we feel attacked? We cover ourselves. We withdraw.
Yep. We try to find, an explanation that, saves ourself, right? So we just go into defense, which is not a healthy,
Sometimes we come out attacking, too.
And we then attack the person, right? So, we have to be very aware of when we are going into, defensiveness, and work very hard to take responsibility for, our own part in something.
It's
and every
so hard.
conflict has got 2 sides to it.
It's easier to say you're at fault. Hey,
I know.
You did this.
It doesn't help when we want to be in a love relationship.
All right.
And then that's the last one that he talks about is stonewalling. And stonewalling is kind of the final unfortunate phase where, we've really just detached, we've disconnected from the person altogether, and we're not really we may be physically still in there, but we're not emotionally or mentally connected anymore, which is the final phase of the end of a relationship. And
Have you ever met couples in your practice in which two people were both in that phase?
Yes.
They just seemed to be stonewalling one another.
Very painful.
And neither one wanted to budge, and wow.
And one of the things that we can learn to do is to soothe ourselves along the way so that we, take care of our own emotional states so that we have some reserve to come back into the relationship and not put up so many defensive walls and then completely disconnect.
So that's the toxic end of the continuum. Can we give our audience a little bit of some positive tips that might be helpful?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we want to keep these lovebirds happy and in love. And we know that they're going to have times when they're going to disagree. That's normal in any relationship and sometimes actually quite healthy. But there are some really good skills that couples can learn that will make those times of disagreement not so toxic, and in fact can lead to deeper understanding and deeper closeness.
All right, so we start with the premise that there is a disagreement, that there is a conflict, that there are two people who do not see eye to eye on some subject.
Yeah.
Well, what's a tip of how we might proceed?
One of them is Gottman talks about using a softened startup.
A softened startup.
Yes.
What's
So
that
if
mean?
we know that we're in a disagreement with somebody, it's better to come at them a little softer than with a criticism. And the criticism often starts with, you didn't do something. You
Accusatory.
said accusatory.
I
And
see.
that very quickly gets us both very defensive. So a softened startup is exactly as it says. It's less harsh. It's sort of using I language, right? It talks about how I'm feeling. And we have to calm ourselves down to be able to do this, but this is a very powerful and helpful skill.
Well, it sure seems to me that the conversation is going to end the way it begins.
Exactly.
Right?
I think that's really true. If it starts really attacking, it's going to end up more attacking.
Yeah.
So if you can start softer, you have a better shot at getting some understanding and keeping it in that more gentle, loving zone.
When you describe it, it seems so simple.
I know, but it is really hard, and we have to do a lot of, calming ourselves down, and that's kind of the next skill, right? So if we notice that we've tried all our skills and it's still escalating and we're getting really heated, what should couples do, Nick?
Well, somebody's got to take the responsibility for de-escalating the energy, and that means sometimes taking a timeout, taking a step back, saying, you know what, we're not getting anywhere, we're butting heads, we're not advancing either one of our argument and an agreement, so can we take a timeout here?
Right, and this is something that we actually teach couples in couples counseling is how to negotiate a healthy, good timeout. And one of the things that is included in a good timeout is what?
Returning back to the subject.
Right.
Have couples that say, yeah, we took a time out, we never addressed it again.
And we have this big pile of stuff we've never addressed, and it's over there under the rug, right?
That's not going to work.
Not healthy.
Yeah, so there has to be an agreement that at some time, in fact, sometimes I have couples explicitly identify when are they going to come back?
Yes.
When are they going to talk about that again?
Yeah, and depending upon how intense things have gotten, it might be you can just take a 5-minute timeout.
Right.
Or it may be a
Couple
whole
of
day.
days. Yeah, okay.
And it's okay, but as long as you come back, and when you're taking your time out, what do you have to do?
You have to come back?
You have to calm yourself down.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Sure,
right.
absolutely. You have to
Right.
take care of yourself, take some responsibility, get in touch with yourself. And
Soothe yourself.
Soothe yourself. And,
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So
I
that
see.
you're a little bit more calm when you come back, and you'll be thinking more clearly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. All right. And then finally, another tip that we sometimes forget about is?
Basic politeness, courtesy, and appreciation, right?
Sharon, I have to do that at work. Why can't I just be myself, rude and...
That's not yourself.
No, it isn't. But, at home...
Let it all fly, right?
Kind of, right?
Yeah, well, we kind of do want to be able to come home and be with our loved ones and relax a little bit. But that doesn't mean relaxing our basic sense of decency, respect, and appropriate, politeness, right? So
that's true.
those are the foundations that help keep us connected in a loving kind of way and doesn't let us just wander off into letting the worst of ourselves show up. We want to
Right.
bring the best of ourselves to
And
our
it's so
love
hard when we're
relationships.
tired and we've been
Yeah.
exhausted and we're overwhelmed with some of the multiple responsibilities that we have. But boy, keeping that in mind, to be polite and respectful to our loved one, that's going to be key in building a long-lasting
Lifelong.
relationship.
Yes,
Right.
we want these to be lifelong love relationships. And remember back when we were falling in love and how
The
fun that was,
infatuation.
the infatuation phase. That can come back around again, but it comes back around in couples who are remembering to do these healthy skills, to be appreciative, to be kind, and to take care of themselves and learn about themselves.
Nice.
It's kind of what we're in a relationship for, is to learn about who we are.
I like that.
Well, happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you, Sharon. You
the
too.
month of love.
I think this has been informative for our audience. I hope it has.
Yeah, hope people will learn something, and remember that Concern is a resource for you and your relationships. Please come see us and check out the Concern webpage for our Topics of Concern newsletter and other events that are coming up.
And we're on Workplace too.
And we are in Workplace.
All right,
Thanks,
Sharon.
everybody.
Thank you.